Hey guys, welcome back. Another Be Strong pod. Today, a bit of a different one. Technically going to hand over to, I suppose, our Tom replacement, Casey, because she's interviewing me for the day.
I'll just cut my hair and just call me Tom.
Fair. And also, the one thing that's going to stand out on this pod that I'm salty about already is that obviously Casey has tanned up and I feel very pale sat next to her. This is the first time. All right, Liam, how are we doing? It's the first time that I've ever felt pale next to a ginger. My mum's on as well. And from what I have been led to believe, my mum sent in some embarrassing stories about me as well. So I suppose I'll hand over to you, Tom the second.
Indeed she has. So we've got a mixture of questions. So little bit of background fighting questions, outside the gym questions, and of course with it being, I'm going to call it your 40th birthday special.
That's probably what I should have named it on the Insta Live.
You probably should have.
Yeah.
We do of course have some embarrassing stories because we can't let him get away too lightly without a little bit of embarrassment.
Fair. I'll accept this.
Okay, so I won't make you introduce yourself because it's your podcast.
Fair, yeah.
So if you'd like to know a little bit more about him, go and listen to all of the other ones, I guess. But let's give the people a little bit of background. So a bunch of these questions are from people on Instagram and around the gym. So some of them I just made up because, you know, I might be curious as well.
Fair.
So we'll start off with what got you into fighting / fitness in the first place? Where did it all begin?
So, started with my dad. So I always, as a kid, watched WWF as it was back in the day. I was old enough that it wasn't WWE back then.
Can't relate.
I know, like, probably haven't even heard of it, you know, but so I loved wrestling, but my dad got me really into boxing, and it wasn't like contemporary boxing at the time. He got me really into old school boxing. So I was watching old Muhammad Ali fights, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, like all these old boxers, and I loved boxing. I was obsessed with it. Like I've got the whole of Roberto Duran's career, every single 130 fights, whatever he's got, and I've watched them all. Like
I'm sure my dad would like to sit and speak to you about all of that.
Yeah. So if he hops on here, I will talk boxing all day long. I was obsessed with boxing, and I wanted to box when I was younger. And my parents did not want me to get punched. They were like, no, can't have him boxing because, you know, they don't want me to get punched. So what my dad did, bearing in mind he got me really into boxing, so I think he kind of figured I'll try and direct him into judo, right? He first started trying to tell me like, oh, judo's really good because, you know, you're not getting punched. And I wasn't that sold on it. So what he got into his mind was to show me the first UFC tapes, because UFC 1, Hoist Gracie comes in and cleans house against all the strikers, takes them all down. My dad was like, look, judo is very similar to this, and he's beating all these strikers. And I was like, in my mind, I couldn't get my head around how all these strikers were getting taken out. And every single fight I bet against Hoist, I was like, oh, this guy's going to fuck him up, this guy. And he won every match. So in the end, I was like, there's something to this. Maybe I should learn some judo. And it kind of come full circle because it ended up with me getting into MMA. So essentially, my dad steered me away from boxing and into MMA, which is arguably worse.
Yeah. Definitely worse.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure, getting hit by elbows and knees is definitely worse than being punched by big gloves.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take getting punched with a 10-ounce glove than a 4-ounce any day. So yeah, that was it kind of backfired in the long run.
Okay, so the next question follows on
a
little bit. So obviously you started training, competing. When did you decide, okay, this is for me, I'm going to make this like my career?
So, you know what? It's hard to say. So I never really had an intention of taking it as a career, I suppose, because when I was doing it, there wasn't really much money in it. Like, but I saw it as a challenge to myself, and I never really thought far ahead. I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I'll make it somewhere where I can make some money. But even then, at the highest level, there wasn't much money going around in fighting at the time. But I was so obsessed with it. Like I loved training and I loved being around the team. But what I found out was that the competing side of it, I didn't like as much. You know what I mean? I like the challenge, but I was never really in love with competing. Found it very stressful. Like it would, and it still now gets me stressed out competing in jiu-jitsu. But it just seemed like a natural progression, you know, because I was training all the time and I was like doing well against all the people that were fighting. So they're like, why don't you fight? You know, like
may as well make some dollar out of it.
It's like you're fighting us in the gym anyway. You might as well get paid.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, you know, maybe I will. And I had my first fight, and I was like, right, you know what? This, like, the feeling of winning was like nothing else. You know, it was like you'll know, obviously.
Yeah. So it's a good feeling.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. And then you kind of get stuck in that cycle of chasing the next high. You know, which is what I think a lot of fighters struggle with when they stop, is not having the massive highs and the lows that come after it as well. But it's one of those. So after my first amateur fight, I was like, oh, I'll do another one, and then eventually I was like, you know what? Fuck, I'm not getting paid as an amateur. I might as well try some pro fights, get some money, which wasn't a lot of money, but still. And in fact, so my first 3 pro fights, didn't even realise I was getting paid. The promoter apparently had a check for me each time, and I just left the venue without picking it up. And the fourth
You
fight,
should go back and get it.
well, the fourth fight was with that same promoter. So someone asked me, like, how much are you getting paid for this? I was like, you guys getting paid? And he was like, yeah, it's pro fight, dickhead. Of course you're getting paid. So I went down to the promoter. It's like, oh, you got a check for me? He's like, oh, here you go. And I was like, what about the other 3 fights? He's like, nah, too late. It was like, fuck. I was so gutted.
I would have made him pay all 4 fights in one big payday.
I was tempted, you know. I was like, but it was a small show, and I was like, fair enough. You probably can't bankroll 4 checks in one day.
Yeah, that's fair. So that actually leads us to a question I've got for later on.
Okay, sweet.
You've brought us into it now. So obviously, from when you were competing and you were fighting professionally, and you get that kind of obviously buzz, and it's a really big deal, and you've got really big venues. Do you find that there's a big difference between the buzz that you get from it now, like in, you know, BJJ tournaments and things like that, compared to like professional MMA?
You know what? This is such a weird thing to say, because fighting in like MEN Arena and Wembley, these are like places that I'd watched my heroes fighting when I was growing up, so the stress was there, and it was like, I can't believe I'm here, you know, walking out an arena. I don't know how many thousands of people were in there, but it felt fucking insane, like when you were in there, you know.
A few people.
There's a fair few, and it was like going out on Sky TV and all that, you know. So it was like all this pressure. You think like having that would make competing in like a leisure centre a little bit less stressful, but it's not. It's still as fucking stressful as ever. You know, you go there and there's no difference to being in the MEN Arena under the lights with everyone watching to being in a sports hall with like millions of matches. You still feel that nervousness, you know. So I'd like to say that I learned to kind of control the nerves and like through all the MMA fighting, but nah, it's still the same.
Still there.
Yep, still there.
Fair enough. So what, speaking around kind of your probably more professional fighting, or maybe not, what would you say was your hardest fight, and what did you take away from it? What did you learn from it?
Ooh, so there's 2 that stand out, right? So my second amateur fight, was it my second? I think it was my second amateur fight. So I only did 2. I lost my second amateur fight on a decision, but it was a brutal fight. Like I got like my face all caved in, big cuts that still scarred me. Like you know, I got bounced around the cage for a round. Came back and did well in the second round, but 2-round fight, and I lost the first round 10-8 because I got smashed so badly. What that kind of showed me was obviously that I could take it like I gave it and push through, which is, you never know how you're going to react when you come up against that kind of adversity, you know, until you're in it. So the lesson that one taught me was that, like, firstly, that when it got tough, I wasn't going to quit. because, like I say, you can always think, I'd rather.
It's a good lesson.
It's one of those, like, everyone will say, like, when you're sat on the couch, like, oh, I'd rather die than quit. But when it push comes to shove and you're really faced against it, like, you don't know how you're going to react.
And a lot of people would quit.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking close. Like, at the end of the first round, I remember stepping in, missing a jab, and the guy just counters me with this right hand and dropped me, like, flat, not on my face, because I wasn't out, I managed to base. And immediately, as soon as I hit the ground, I thought, fuck, I better get up. So I just jumped back up and carried on fighting. Went back to my corner, and I was, like, a bit out of it. My eye was closed at this point from that big punch that fucking just, like, walloped me. And the ref come over, and he could see that my eye was, like, swelling shut at this point. And he asked me, he's like, are you coming out for the next round? And because obviously, I remember thinking in my head, like, fuck, I must have really got pasted if he's asking that. And my corner didn't say anything. And the first thing I thought in my mind was like, fuck, I don't want to come out. But I had that in my mind, but I said, like, yeah, of course I am. Of course I'm coming out. And he asked me, like, how many fingers he was holding up, and I couldn't fucking see. Like, because he held them obviously to that side like that, but obviously I had someone to this side of me, and they just tapped me twice. And I was like, 2. And he was like, okay, cool, you're good to go.
Safe.
So, yeah, I know, exactly.
Very safe.
And the second fight that really stands out as being one that taught me lessons was my final fight, in fact. So that one I drew. And now this one taught me a different kind of lesson. I think this one ultimately showed me that I loved the training, but I didn't love competing, or more that, like, I was ready to pursue something else. So it came out, this one was the polar opposite of the first fight, in that I dominated the first round, like, completely, took the guy down, was landing loads of ground and pound, pushing a good pace. He was doing very good defending. I couldn't put him away, and I couldn't really damage him, but I was landing a lot, you know. Second round was much more even, so I'd like just come out of the gates like a fucking mad bull, and he paced himself. Second round, he started to come back a bit, and it was very nip and tuck. And third round, I was fucking spent, and he was like just putting his foot on the gas and like pushing me around. There wasn't much damage to either of us in that fight. It was very evenly contested. Ended up being a draw. So I think, like, from what I remember, one judge gave it to him, one judge gave it to me, and one gave it a draw, something like that. Or maybe like 2 judges gave it to one of us. Yeah. I think he's in the thingy room, I think.
Alright, cool, nice.
And I think, like, when I came out and I didn't have that feeling of winning, you know. Firstly, I felt like I let everyone down. Like, you know, I felt really like that overwhelming feeling of not, like, performing for people, which is a weird one, because everyone will tell you that they don't care if you win or lose. They care that you're safe, and they, like, you know, you're out of it, and they like, if, like, the people that love you when you go into a fight, they're gonna love you regardless of whether you win or lose. You know, that's not the be all and end all. But I felt like a proper failure after that fight, and that was from a draw. And I remember thinking, like, fucking, what if I'd lost that fight? I'd be absolutely gutted. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, right, I need to get better, and I wanted to pursue, like, getting better. But as I started, like, tweaking my training, I realised that I enjoyed the journey of getting better more than going out and proving it in the competition, you know. And I always said to myself, I'll go back to it one day, and I just never did, because I just never really had the urge to go back out and fight again. I was like, you know what, I'm enjoying, like, taking that lesson and improving all the bits that I need to improve, but I don't necessarily want to fight anymore.
Don't want to get your face smushed up quite as much.
Yeah, well, luckily, to be fair, I come out of that fight completely unscathed. It was much more like wrestling and jits based, because he was another jits guy, so it was really tightly contested grappling match. Neither of us really took a lot of shots. In fact, for like the second round, believe it or not, I was actually more of a kickboxer. I was like chasing around the ring, like landing shots, and it was him trying to take me down, and he eventually started succeeding in getting me down. So I like completely like flipped the script that you expect. I was pursuing like the boxing and the striking, and he was trying to wrestle me.
I'm pretty shocked by that, to be fair.
I know, yeah.
Mainly because it's taken me a year and a half to convince you to do any stand-up training with me.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
So, what is something you would tell that you tell your students that you wish someone had told you earlier on in your career,
Ooh.
in your training?
You know what? So this one would be, I suppose, more to an MMA kind of thing, but it kind of also, like, to jiu-jitsu people in general, is don't treat training like a competition. So you don't have to win every round, because like when you're in your mindset like I'm going to win every single round, things will escalate to the point where every single training session is a war, and you're going to get injured and you're going to get burnt out. You know, and you'll start to not want to train. Like I'd have training sessions back when I was competing where I knew like every time I go to the gym it's going to be a war, and I'd sit in the car outside before I go in like fuck. Like,
wondering what injury you're going to come out with.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go in there and get, like fucking hammered. And like, even if I came out of it, like, not injured, not cut or anything like that, it would be like stupid things. Like my shin would hurt, like where I kick someone's elbow, or like my hands would hurt, or, we bang, like, all these little niggles that weren't like bad injuries, but just fucking make the rest of your life miserable like, day to day because you hurt.
Yeah.
So I tell people like just to be sensible. Like don't treat every training session like you got to win every round. Obviously, as you get closer to competition, you've got to ramp that up. But play and experiment and enjoy the journey is the advice I would give, because you get it like it's a lifetime journey, and the more you enjoy it, the more likely you're to stick with it, right?
I completely agree. There's no point doing it if you're not going to enjoy it. So this is kind of a similar question, but more to people that potentially haven't started yet. And you asked me it, so I'm going to turn it back around to you.
Sure.
If someone is listening or listens to the podcast, later on, that is thinking about trying either BJJ or anything really, what's your best advice?
So my best advice, right, is that just do it. Like, because the biggest obstacle that I think people have is I need to get fit to do it. And you can use that excuse to put it off for so long. Like, I'll start when I get fit, and this I'll get fit is always this. It's kind of like a abstract goal that you're never going to reach deliberately because you're nervous to start. But I can't put into words like how much of a positive impact martial arts in general and jiu-jitsu specifically has had on my life, and the lessons you learn from it that you can kind of apply to everything, because it's like it's hard, and bringing yourself to do something hard and uncomfortable is what you're going to need to grow in any area of your life, right? Like you're going to have to put yourself into situations where you're particularly not confident, you're not comfortable, but you have to persevere, because if you roll over and quit every time something gets difficult, you're never going to amount to anything in life.
Yeah.
And like I say, the one thing that stuck out, and I can't remember for the life of me who said this, so this is obviously someone I'm never going to meet because it's a famous saying, but if you happen to see this and be like, that motherfucker's stealing my line, just know that I can't remember who it was that said this, but I'm crediting whoever said this in general. The heaviest weight in the gym is the front door. It's like
I'm pretty sure that's something that just is claimed by everyone.
Yeah,
I don't think any one person made that.
I'm gonna have like a fucking million people be like, I said that, motherfucker. So yeah, I'll go with the assumption that everyone said it, and you're all welcome to the credit. But like the heaviest weight in the gym is the front door. Once you get through that front door, it gets easier every time. You're gonna meet a community of people that you'll become a part of, and you'll absolutely thrive. And you can make it such a big thing in your mind to there's so many reasons not to go, but all of them are just like, realistically, they're just bullshit. Until you get there, you won't know, what you're missing out on. Once you know what you're missing out on, you won't want to stop.
Yeah, and you can always turn up and then not go back if you don't want to.
Exactly, that's it. You've
if it's not for you.
You've literally got nothing to lose other than an hour of your time, realistically, right?
Exactly. Right, so next question. In the gym, not specifically this gym, any gym, who is the toughest or hardest person that you've ever rolled with? Who's your hardest roll? And like why are they your hardest roll?
Okay, so I'll go through like ever and then like regularly, right? So ever would probably...
You don't have to list every person you've ever rolled
No, I'm going to keep it nice and short. So ever would probably be Dan Strauss. So I rolled with Dan Strauss, so Raspberry Ape, He's a fantastic coach. You should all follow him. A lot of good content, good commentator as well. Fantastic jiu-jitsu guy. And when I was training down in London, he was this 16 or 17-year-old kid that everyone was saying that this kid is going to be something special. And I didn't train with him. He visited the gym one day because he kind of trained with my coach at the time somewhere else. And I remember thinking, so I was a purple belt at the time, and he was a purple belt. And I remember thinking, like, well, both the same belt, he can't be that much better. He was that much better. Like, he was unbelievable. He was unreal. I just remember, like, he was fucking me up, but he was holding a conversation with someone else, like, and he didn't sound out of breath. You know what I mean?
I hate it when people do that.
Yeah, literally, like the kind of shit that I would do to a white belt, he was doing to me. And I just remember thinking, like, fuck, that this kid is something else. So he would probably be the hardest role I've ever had. Like, it was ridiculous, you know. I say hard, like it wasn't hard for him; it was hard for me.
Yeah.
And regularly, so there's two. Would be Chris Bev and Barber, two of my regular training partners, and it's just every round with them is a slog. It's so hard.
And fun to watch though.
Yeah. It's I'm lucky that I get to roll with them often because I feel like it helps my game. And we like all three of us kind of evolve and figure each other out. So every little advantage you have to fight so hard for. And I get to do that all the time, which is good, but it's fucking hard.
That's three good answers. I mean, I'm a little disappointed. You know, it wasn't me. But...
I mean, to be fair, you bring the pace, so there is that.
I mean, who else boops you when you roll?
Fair point.
Other than Daisy, because she's stolen that off me now.
Oh, she's actually in here. Hey,
yeah,
Daisy.
I just saw her pop up. That's why it reminded me that she stole it. Right, so more PT style question.
Shoot.
If someone was doing BJJ and they wanted to only do 3 exercises to help their game, what 3 exercises should they do in the gym?
That's a good question. So I'm going to go like fully ignore the little accessories that you kind of need to be healthy in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So just know that if you do these 3 exercises only, you're going to have a better jiu-jitsu performance, but your life is not going to be better because they're all going to exacerbate the problems that jiu-jitsu has. So if you think about what jiu-jitsu is primarily, like the primary movements of jiu-jitsu are mostly pull-based, right? So a lot of bicep, a lot of lat. So a pull-up would be a freaking fantastic one. Obviously you can scale that to use bands and whatever you need to assist. If I had to pick one variation of pull-up, I would go neutral grip because that has like back and a bit more bicep involvement, and jiu-jitsu is quite bicep dominant. But you don't want to do just a pure bicep curl if you can only pick 3. So I would go with the pull-up. Your hammies have got to have fucking juice in them because all like guard, triangles, all that stuff are based on the ability to contract your hamstrings very tightly for long durations of time. So anything posterior, so you could say that reverse hyperextension, for example, would be a good one because that will kind of tick off your lower back. If you're safe to do so, I would say a deadlift will probably be better option. But if not, a reverse hyper would be a secondary, a replacement. So I'd have those 2, and if I was gonna add one extra, right?
Okay.
So
in the rules.
Yeah. So this one, right, is if you're in those situations where you absolutely need to just completely spaz out to get out of a position.
Okay.
You need an explosive push. So a bench press will come in handy.
Yeah, this is true.
So I'd go pull up, bench press, and deadlift if you can, reverse hyper if your back's fucked.
Comes in handy for me because I don't know what I'm doing. Cool. So I have heard on the grapevine that you are a Spartan ambassador this year.
Indeed.
So tell us more about that. What is that gonna, what's happening with Spartan this year?
So, anyone who is running a Spartan race in the UK this year, you'll probably see me. I think I'm doing most of them, if not all of them. And the ones that I'm not doing, I'll be volunteering at. So I'll be like on the course, like shooting the shit and chatting to people. It's always something I've always wanted to do. Like I've always wanted to be a Spartan race ambassador because I love doing the Spartan races. I think they're a really good challenge, and it's quite a nice community as well.
Yeah.
They're proper oddballs, but they're nice. Like so, like I did last year. Annoyingly, ended up doing 3 races on one weekend by myself because no one would come with me. So calling everyone out, including you, because I tried to recruit all of my grapplers and none of you come along. So I had to do a 20k by myself, a 10k, and a 5k. And the 20k I did fully by myself, which was a bit of a slog. On the 10k, I got basically adopted by a group of people from Nuffield down south. And they ran the whole thing with me, and they were really nice. They were my homies, so I was just like, "Oh, these people are amazing. They're really nice." And it was just that sense of community. I was like, "Yeah, this is why I fucking do this race," you know, because I met a bunch of people that I would never meet in life, and I might never meet these people again, other than a Spartan course. But they helped me get through something that was fucking hard because after doing a 20k the day before, I was a bit beat up, you know, by the time it come to that race.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal, to be fair.
Yeah, it was hard.
I did a OCR run. It wasn't a Spartan, but one of the other ones. Can't remember the name of it. But I did that, and it was 20 miles, 200 obstacles, and I'm not a runner, as everyone will know. I don't like to run. So I did one 7-mile training run for 7 miles is the longest straight in between obstacles, so I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't fine. If you're going to do one, train for it, which is why I didn't do a Spartan, because, ow.
Yeah. That's fair. Like, I wouldn't recommend doing them, not training. Very hard.
No. Okay, so the next one I have is, what is the funniest, if you can think of one off the top of your head?
Right.
Pre-warning, he has not heard any of these questions.
Yeah, so this is going to put me on the spot.
What is the funniest/weirdest thing you've ever seen happen in a gym?
Ooh, okay.
Anything that springs to mind?
Yes. Before I say that, or just to top up on the last question with the Spartan race,
Yes.
Got a code, give everyone a discount in my bio up there somewhere. So use that if you sign up, and I'll see you on the course. So, embarrassing or funny things that I've seen happen in the gym. This one actually happened to me.
Well, that's what we like.
I know.
That's what I was hoping for.
And it goes viral every year because it gets shared, including by myself. So it was one of those infamous falling off a treadmill incidents.
Yes, I've seen this. It's
Yeah, you would have seen it. Yeah. So I was.
He'll put it on his story later for you.
Yeah, I love seeing that. Like NatWest just pops out that some money's come out of my account. Son of a bitch.
We don't like that.
No, it's just like, fuck's sake, I don't need my bank reminding me when money comes out. It's like, but anyway, so I was running on the solo treadmill in a small studio gym, right underneath a camera, and then I finished my run, hit stop, promptly tripped over my own feet, and fell off the treadmill. So, being the camera's here, all you can see is me hit that, my head disappear, my feet appear, because I went literally upside down, get shunted off the treadmill, landing on a mat that is perfectly positioned in the middle of the room. So then I just look up at the camera and wave like that, because I worked at the gym, so I knew that it was caught. Then it happened to
It's a real shame that, like, this post you've been framed days.
I know, I could have fucking made bank.
£200.
I know, I could do £200 to pay off that shit that just come out of my account as well. Fuck's sake.
So, we've all heard, and not all of us, but many, many of us have heard about the new wrestling singlet that you have purchased. So we don't want to see it, and we're not encouraging it. We're not encouraging you to get it on.
It's going to be the thumbnail of this video.
However, please no.
Yep.
However, does this mean that you will be competing in wrestling?
Yes, it does. So I always had on my bucket list, right? So obviously I competed in MMA, and I always thought, like, I want to compete in every solo aspect of MMA. Now that's quite hard to quantify because there's a lot of aspects. So what I figured was, like, I'd do a boxing match, which I did. I would do a Thai match. I did it in the club. I will do jiu-jitsu. The one thing missing in all that, wrestling. It's the one that I have left to do. So I will be competing in wrestling in 2025. Fingers crossed.
Okay, well, if anyone would like to see him in a singlet, then
it's gonna be
you know where to go.
Stellar.
If your dream is to see a 40-year-old man in a singlet, then there we go.
That's a very specific niche of OnlyFans, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not sure we'll make much money off that.
We're going to be making bank.
So, it is your birthday weekend. Happy birthday, you old man.
Thank you.
What are you going to do to prioritise your health and recovery now that you're old?
Oh.
Or are you just going to let your whoop scream at you every day?
Well, that's a fair question, because I do like to get told off by my whoop for not listening to my sleep.
Yes.
What I have noticed, right, is that on days where I go to bed at a reasonable hour, which I had a week of doing, my recovery was unbelievably high.
Funny,
yeah, I know.
Funny that sleep helps me.
Who would have known, right? Like, sleep, it turns out, is fantastic. It would.
Wild.
I know. And it's crazy when you think of it. Like, in terms of, if someone could tell you, like, these are the benefits of sleep, I put them into a pill, and you can take this pill, that would get banned in every single sport as a performance enhancer.
Yep.
Like, literally. And yet, I'll get home late and I'm like, oh, I'll just have a coffee, and you know. So I believe now, turning 40, my recovery will obviously be slowing down a little bit. I will, in fact, try to listen to my whoop and have more sleep, because it turns out it does affect me very positively. So yeah, I know.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a few more sort of lifestyle questions, and then we've got some fun stories from Mother.
Oh dear.
Your mother, not mine.
I was going to say, yeah.
So, outside of BJJ, what do you do? What hobbies have you got?
Well, this is
Other
where...
than teaching me how to play chess at the moment.
Yeah. So obviously chess being one of them. But this is where I think the tism will shine, right? So, like, my interests outside of jiu-jitsu, fairly limited, but very interested in them. So, chess being one of them. Absolutely obsessed, play loads of chess all day long. Reading like a dork, gaming, lots of gaming.
Someone just thumbs up gaming. Oh.
I think they did.
Someone asked me to ask him about gaming, and I said no, because we need to keep the listeners engaged.
Whoever gave the thumbs up for the gaming, you are my type of person. Yeah. So yeah, that generally
all the geeky things.
Yeah,
then.
pretty much anything nerdy and geeky. That's generally my bag. Yeah.
Good, I like it. Your name. This was a question from the listeners.
Okay.
Where was your name from? Did you name yourself after your favourite coffee shop?
Yeah, so fair. My name, my dad named me after his dad. So Greek. I think it was like a tradition to name your firstborn after your parents. So got named after my granddad. Obviously Greek family. On the subject of my favourite coffee shop, because Costa Coffee is the best coffee shop, I did try and get a free coffee from Costa Coffee, saying that I was
Did
Mr.
you show your ID?
Yeah, I told them I was Mr. Costa, and they were just like, no. I was like, fine, fair enough.
You got to try it, yeah.
Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Very true. You should get that as a tattoo.
Yeah, I might do that, to be fair. And a little logo of that Costa Coffee.
Yeah. Now can I have a free coffee, please?
Yeah, it's like, come on, bro. Hook me up.
Next one. Have you got a favourite Rocky film?
Ooh. That's a fucking fantastic question. Okay, so...
Can you guess who that's from?
No, actually.
My dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So, you know what? Controversially, because a lot of people think it's universally one of the shitter ones, Rocky 5, when he's dealing with the
controversial.
Yeah, very controversial, because, like, yeah, it's not fantastic. But more because, like, it kind of touched on him struggling with life after fighting, which was something I found, like, myself.
Relatable.
Yeah, 100%. Like, capturing, like, what you do after you stop, you know, and how the fight machine just keeps ticking over. So this is something that I felt bad for a lot of like old champions and stuff. They just get forgotten. Like, the machine keeps moving on, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, you know, and generally it's one of those, it's a very brutal industry where the young will eat the old. So, like, you generally see a champion go out on his back, a new champion crowned. It's rare someone retires on top. And yeah, like, and kind of being left behind by fighting, because you dedicate your life to something and it doesn't love you back. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, you stop fighting and the fight game just continues. Like, the promoters keep making money, the events carry on. Eventually, people forget that you fought at all. So, like, people watching this, people from your generation, won't have seen any of my fights. You know, and outside of, like, my friends and things like that, there's probably not many people that see my fights. But, like, it's the way of things, and like
because it was before cameras were invented.
Yeah, old black and white grainy footage, wasn't it? Yeah. Cheeky shit.
Okay, really interesting question I've got for you next.
Okay,
it's,
shoot.
One that I'm actually interested by the answer. Do you use shampoo or shower gel on your head?
You know what? So this actually is more of a complex answer than you would think, right? So, if I'm freshly shaved, like today I'm like freshly shaved, it will be like just shower gel, because essentially there's no hair. However, if there's a day or two worth of stubble growth, then you got to put some shampoo in there. So it kind of complicates things. You can't really like shower gel a day or two's growth.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. That is an interesting answer.
Yeah. So yeah, it depends is the answer.
Okay, so one more before we move on to your embarrassing stories.
Fair.
From your childhood. Hopefully pull back some trauma. That's what we're aiming for.
Nice. Yes, end my 30s with some generational trauma. Nice.
Yeah, that's what we like. If you had to fight one animal, but you could train for 6 months, what's the most dangerous animal you think you could beat?
Oh, this is a good question. Dangerous animal I can beat. Right, so...
But you can train for 6 months.
I think, right...
Mine's a kangaroo still, just FYI. I know everyone thinks that's wild, but honestly, maybe a short kangaroo.
I think I could take out a kangaroo with no training. I think I could walk out of this room right now and just like fucking bust up a kangaroo.
Have you ever met a kangaroo?
I would fuck up a kangaroo.
I'm not sure. Right, let's organise it.
Kangaroo is not ready for these hands. He's going to get chewed up.
Let's organise it.
Okay, so if I had to...
With training?
With training, I would go for... I'd take on something really dangerous, like a cassowary. Because, right, if you fuck up with a cassowary, you die a fucking brutal death. They eviscerate you.
Right.
So it's a dance with death.
Okay.
But if you take a cassowary out, be like you just killed like a super dangerous thing. And it's also a big bird. Big birds are fucking stupid. So
yeah.
Like
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have some questions. Not questions. Stories. So before we do, just to tie in the embarrassment a little bit more, as they are for your birthday theme.
Fair.
I do just need you to and for the audio listeners, he is just putting on a...
But I will change this hat for this hat.
Yeah, just swap it out. A hat that is a birthday cake, and that was bought for him to go on his birthday night out tomorrow, but I thought we can get a cool thumbnail. So he will also be wearing this in Leeds tomorrow.
The main question here, right, is do I go ears in or ears out?
I think that's personal preference. You look ridiculous. I'm really sorry for anyone that's listening, just audio. You're missing out on this. So I can't look at you in the reflection. So we've got some stories which we'll just share with the listeners. Feel free to chirp in if you want. These are directly from your mummy.
Oh dear.
Your mum also asked your brothers for stories,
oh,
so
no.
I think some are from your brothers. So there was one time when your younger brother Jamie pushed you off a shed.
Oh dear.
And you said, please no Jamie, don't push me off, and he did it anyway. How does it make you feel?
You know what? So, right, I remember this shed. So the shed wasn't like that type of roof. It was attached to the wall and it come down at an angle like this, right? So technically, whoever had the higher ground, you're always at an advantage. So he was up at the top and I was slightly below, and we were playing something. I can't remember what we were playing on the shed. And I did something that must have annoyed him because he pushed me. And I remember about to fall off, and I grabbed onto the washing line, but I knew the washing line wouldn't hold, so I was falling off. And I don't remember the please part necessarily.
Your mum quoted, please don't.
Well, and then he pushed me again to knock me off, which I do remember.
Well,
might be where my fear of heights came in.
Yes, I forget.
Yeah, plummeting to the ground from that shed, and we had a concrete garden, so it wasn't even grass that I fell on. However, karma has come back round, because obviously my brother now, Jamie, has started jiu-jitsu and is a white belt. So he gets smother taps and various other mean parts.
You begged him?
God damn it,
That's what I heard.
Damn it!
That's funny. So you weren't always the one that was being bullied. Sometimes you were the bully, I'm told.
I think this might be fibs, but...
So your youngest brother Alex remembers lots of play fighting, and remembers play fighting and wrestling. You used to play upstairs, and you used to hurt Michael and say, you'd cover his mouth when he was crying and say, don't tell Mum.
Yeah. And in fairness...
So you were also the bully.
Jamie was also involved in that. So it wasn't just like a... So poor Mike being the one below Jamie and myself, he if anything bad was going to happen, it would happen to Mike. He's the most injured. And when I say this, like, literally just, like, through nothing to do with us. Like, my family had a car crash on the way to a holiday. I was working and I was going to drive up and meet them later. They had a car crash. Everyone absolutely fine in the car crash, apart from Mike. Mike got a big scar on his head, eyes swollen closed. Everyone else walked out without a scratch. Mike came out like he'd been fucking hit by another car, funny enough. So yeah, if something bad was going to happen, it would happen to Mike. So we'd be playing upstairs and something would inevitably happen. That's what I'm saying now.
Your mum.
Only found out when Michael told me last year. Yeah, we got away with it for a while, which was good. So we'd do something that would inevitably, Mike being the pain magnet that he was, something would happen to him and we'd be like, no, and then we'd keep him up in the room until he stopped crying. We wouldn't let him out.
My older brother used to do the same. I remember him pinning me down and being like, don't tell Mum, I'll pay you. I'll tidy your room. Don't tell Mum. Although we've spoken about sibling brutality and through stories, I think mine was worse. I specifically remember nearly chopping my brother's ear off with a bamboo stick
Jesus.
before.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, he did push me down the stairs once though, so...
I cannot think what you would do to deserve that.
So 2 more stories.
Shoot.
We've got on here. So your mum said that once when you were 21, someone asked you what the best day of your life was, and you answered it was leaving home and moving in with your three friends. which broke your mother's heart.
Oh.
Just to let you know, she did add on, it broke her heart. So, if I was to ask you now, again, as a 40-year-old, what the best day of your life was, or, you know, a couple of your best memories, what would they be?
Sorry, Ma. Right, it's funny because the stereotypical answer would be like, oh, the birth of your son, like, birth of your, that was the most stressful day because he he spent most of that day in ICU. Like they took as soon as he was born, they took him away, and it was the first week and a half, 2 weeks when he was born was the most. We barely left the hospital. It was so fucking stressful. So I would say like the birth of my son was the best of my life. It was the most stressful fucking day of my life. You know, like literally, I've never been so stressed.
So what was the best day? In your 40 years, can you pinpoint it?
Best day of my life in 40 years. I mean, leaving home at 21, living with my best friends. just
really stick the knife in there.
That's got to be up there. The cupboards fell on me. Fuck, I remember that as well. So this was not one of the best days of my life. So I used to try and parkour out of my cot when I was little.
Of course you did.
And I was climbing out, and for some reason there was stacks of cupboards next to us. So this is like
safe.
Yeah, parenting in the 80s. And I climbed out, and the whole thing just flat packed, bam, and fell down on me. I don't remember any of this, but my parents ran up thinking that I died because all the cupboards were on top of me. But they'd fallen in such a way that they'd not landed on me, and I just crawled out from underneath it. Okay.
Just, you know, benching cupboards as an infant.
So I'll tell you, one of the things that stands out as being one of the best days of my life, and it's a sad reasoning behind it, but me and my friends did a charity cycle for my best friend who had passed away, and it was without doubt the hardest thing I've ever done because I didn't train for it, and I don't.
Doesn't sound like you.
I know, so I've done various things without training. I've run a marathon without training, but this. Didn't cycle at all.
Katie was giving you some shit about not training for Spartans in the...
Yeah. It's a bit of a theme. But the cycle, bearing in mind it was John O'Groats to Land's End, so longest you could cycle in the UK. But we made it longer because we detoured and we climbed Ben Nevis, Scafell and Snowdon on the way. So for what should have been like an 800 odd mile journey, we did it in 12 because, went round the houses. Took us 19 days because each day we climbed the mountain, we didn't cycle any further, obviously. So that was the biggest challenge of my life. Bear in mind, I did no cycling, and I could not. I can't indicate on a bike. So I did the whole thing without indicating once. Made it that distance without indicating on my bike once. But when we got to the finish point there, and we kind of knew what we'd achieved, I think that's got to be up there. Because fucking hell, that was hard. And I did want to throw my bike straight into the sea. I'm not even joking. I literally sold my bike to my best friend at the finish line. I got the phone. I never want to see that fucking bike again. Yeah, so he bought it off of me. There, he still got it. He still got that fucking bike. But I think that because we raised so much money for charity and for a good cause, and so I'd say that probably stands out as being up there.
Good achievement. Good
there's a video of it up on YouTube, the highlights of us being miserable. It's like 20 minutes long, and you just see us miserable for the whole of it because it was fucking hard.
Okay, so last one. As a child, you were apparently very shy.
Yes.
Have we got any more comments?
Getting
your black belt, yeah?
Yeah. That's my biggest achievement in life, I think, in terms of lifelong journey, getting to black belt. Because when I started jiu-jitsu, there were no black belts, no English black belts. So it seemed like a journey that you'd never get to.
Yeah.
That's took the longest and has been probably the biggest achievement that I've done.
Cool. So we've got one more story. So you were a very shy child, I hear.
Yes.
But one day, when you were in year 6, you and your friend performed Gangster's Paradise in front of the whole school. So I'm just wondering, just to close us off, if you give us a little little snippet. Do you remember any of it?
I remember that as definitely not happening. Yeah, so that was...
You dressed so well for it.
I know. But I feel like I would dishonour Coolio's memory if I could... I remember that, yeah. That was when, randomly, considering we were in primary school, like, gangster rap, although I don't know if you can really call that gangster rap, but it really came in at that point, so everyone was into it. And that song was a fucking banger, to be fair.
Yeah.
Tunes. Yeah, fuck, I remember that. Oh, that's gonna.
I am gonna convince him at some point to.
I do still know all the words to
you
that.
Absolute loser. I'm assuming that's nothing to do with his attire. I assume that's purely just demeanour.
Ella just coming in hot.
We love that.
Yeah, just that first thing she says, not hello or anything, just
no.
Absolutely. Firstly, I think this I might make part of my regular.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be my regular going out attire.
So I thank you for answering all of my questions.
You're welcome.
And I will hopefully take various photos and videos which you'll be able to share with everyone of you hopefully drunk on the floor when we go out tomorrow for your birthday.
Yeah, this is going to be... Who's this jumping in? This is going to be possibly the drunkest I've been, I suspect.
Yeah, I suspect as well.
Yeah. I figured I might as well end my 30s like obliterated, because like you've got to start a new decade in a.
It can only go up from.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like.
Are you doing open mat Sunday?
Fuck no! I will be doing nothing on Sunday. On Sunday, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to get breakfast, and then I'm going to be a hermit for the rest of the day.
Because after our last night out at Christmas, I specifically remember me being very ill the next day, and you being like, "Oh, I'm just on my second open mat of the day," and I'm like, "Great, I can't keep water down."
I don't generally, and I want to touch wood here because this could be the first time. I don't usually get hangovers.
Well, you're not 40 until Sunday. So.
I know. I think this is going to be the thing, isn't it? I'm going to wake up on Sunday with the worst hangover ever, the first hangover and the worst hangover. Yeah, it's all these years of me being that friend, being like, "Oh, I don't get a hangover. It's going to come back and bite me in the arse, isn't it?"
I hope so. I'm going to make sure of it.
That does not sound fun. I do not want.
Right, thank you.
Thanks for jumping in, folks. This one is not going to live on Instagram as usual, but I will put it up on YouTube. So go like and subscribe, because like I said on the last one, the more people like and subscribe, the more chance people will send me free stuff to promote, which I'll promote for money or for free stuff. See you later, all.